middle of the month already, my good man. But as always, welcome to the Free Cage Podcast, where we like it to a free state of mind each and every day. We're on all these things, of course. And to my right, I got my main guy, my ace. My left, my right is weak. Sean, better known as the Singer Me and for your socials.
You know.
And me, Kenny, man. I'm also known as King Cat, making on those socials. But today,
So, this video is for my dad. Dad, I love you very much. I hope you don't die. And I hope you stay alive. And I love you so much.
World. This is the FCP Dad Series, man. Every third Wednesday, me and my guy Ken Catney get together and we talk about this thing called being a dad.
shit's crazy, bro.
So the first thing we're going to start off with is the stigma around the absentee father. Now, Kenny, I'm gonna let you start this off, man. Like when we talk about this, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Like it's something that was always just around and relevant. It just felt like it always adapted to you. And I had my father there. Even had a stepdad there. You know what I mean? Shouts to compare. But like just you always felt like everybody didn't know. Because there's always people who were just missing that father figure at the house. You hung out with him a lot, you know what I'm saying? You did things, but you felt the kids that had the father, not that they had a better head on their shoulders, because that's not what it was needed, but they carried themselves a little different for some reason. I can't really put a finger on it, but there's a different aura around them as far as confidence, as far as idea sets, just ways you would do things outside. Like you kind of was able to pick apart who was and you could tell who wasn't. If that made any sense to you. Like, can you recall when you was younger, like how many of your friends had fathers at the house?
It was a mix. It was a mix. Some of them, were being raised by single moms, being raised by their grandparents or something like that. And then some of them did have the father around, whether it was like a full-on presence, like you saw them picking them up from school, or they were just around at certain times. You know what I mean? But it always stuck in my head that, to your point, it was something that exists, that there were people who their fathers weren't around, and it makes you start to think about what are the potential impacts of that, and what that even does for us men growing up, and what that does for ladies, knowing that this is a possibility. And in no way on this show do we try to speak for women, so we always leave these lines open for a future show for anybody to come on and always talk about their perspectives, as we did when we had Orlando on, and as we'll continue to do. Yeah, and I mean, there's really something that's just different about when it comes from a dad. Of course, never to knock the ladies, man, but there's just something about the delivery that I got from my father whenever he was talking to me about life, whether it was a discipline situation, whether it was just you need to look out for this type situation. It resonates differently when it comes from your dad, and even if it's a stepdad, because it's just that person. I just think it's the tone from the man, the relationship. Something resonates completely different.
Absolutely. I agree. As time went on, go from child to teenager to young adult to man now, do you feel the stigma of absentee fathers lives louder on the media, Hollywood lens of things, or do you still feel it's still very current and like prevalent in today's times?
I think it's very current, man. I think it's for some people it's a little more visible. So from to your question exactly, from the media standpoint, I mean, the media is always going to give you what they feel is within your algorithm. So if you're out there looking for fatherly tips, it's going to give you the most positive videos in the world. If you are, mad at men, or you dislike your father for not being a part of your life, it's going to feed you all the negative stuff in the world about, how dads are not there, and what's happening to the kids that they leave behind and the women they leave behind. But for people who are actually living through that, I can't imagine how it is for them, because it's all kinds of questions, right? Was I not enough? What made you not want to be here? And then there's the other slight way where they're there, they're just not involved. You know what I mean? It's like I know my dad, I know he's around, but when certain activities are happening or when certain things need to get done, it's like, where is this dude? So it's a total mix right now. What about you?
It's funny. Like the early parts of my life, like my father was there, but mom and dad went their way. And like always had like I always felt like I had like a remote dad. It was like he was available, like his number was always active. Like like how when you work from home from work, like your boss don't bother you all the time. But you could call in, you could call him if there's a real issue, you solve it, and you both move on with your day. Like we know each other's roles, each other's positions in that regard. But there was no discipline because it wasn't an everyday thing. It felt like, you know what I mean. So I wouldn't take any disciplinary words with, other than but a grain of salt. You know what I mean. So it was kind of that connected issue on my end. So I didn't really have to go through that. It was weird.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I think we're gonna dive into that a little bit later in this conversation because um as we continue, y'all, we're gonna start to talk about some of the conversations people should or maybe probably already had about their perspective on raising kids before they actually have them. I mean, if you're lucky enough to have those conversations before you pop up like, oh, yo, I think we're pregnant, it can go one or two ways, man. So, pre-kid, did you and your wife ever talk about your perspectives on raising children?
Um, as you know me, I'm a very judgy individual. So before kids was even a thing, like I was scoping the family out, making sure there was no crazies. Like what I mean, making sure there's nothing I need to look out for. Like, oh, like your older cousin always got the knife on him. Interesting. Like what I mean, I was looking out for little things like that. But there was never no red flags where I felt how she was raised would put any harm's way or be extremely outside the box of where I might have been thinking as far as us having our own kids. So I never asked those questions because I trusted the family. I trusted her upbringing or who she brought me around anyway in the first few years. So we never really got to have that conversation, honestly. Pretty good, of course.
Okay.
How about
Yeah.
you? Yes,
Yeah,
did you?
we was too busy loving on each other. I don't think we were even thinking about that. I think we just thought it was just going to be vacations and nights eating and drinking and just chilling until we decide that we want to have kids, but never really a sit down about perspectives and stuff like that. Is it better to have had a dad and lose or never to have had one at all?
Any fragment of having one is better than not having at all, unfortunately. So whatever capacity that could have come in, whether time was cut short one way or the other, it's always best to have experiences of some capacity, in my opinion, anyway, versus just never knowing what you could have or would have had if it was there. You know what I mean? That what if would drive you even crazier, I think, than you being upset your whole life that you lost it.
Okay.
How about you? What's your thoughts?
No, I agree. I agree, man. I'm glad that I've always had my dad. I had my dad. I mean, I would not want to go through a situation where I didn't have my dad around. I can only imagine how tough that would have been. And it could be because I had him. You know what I'm saying? So my perspective is always going to be biased because I did have my dad around. So if you're going to ask me, which one would be, for lack of better words, better, I'm going to say having the dad around just because I know what it felt like.
Facts.
How much of raising a kid was based off of the way you were raised?
That's fine. It kind of worked in the opposite because, like, don't get me wrong. In today's time, I have a pretty good, I say great relationship with my dad now. But 12 years ago when my first kid was born, and the conversations were kind of far and few. I was more so on a like a reverse path of it. Like I'm going to make sure I didn't do what that did to make sure my situation was different with mine. You know what I mean? So me not having being in that cluster or nucleus that I wanted to be in I wanted to make sure I provided that for mine. You know what I mean? If that made any sense. Me learning what I didn't want helped me figure out what to do. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? It was a weird way of
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just like, if you saw somebody, you could put their hand over the stove and they got burned. I'm not doing that shit. That doesn't work.
Like, how's that? You know what I'm saying? But yeah. But how about you? Do you feel the way you was raised help you raise your child today?
Absolutely. Similar to you, there's pieces that I took that I felt good about, and there's pieces that I didn't want to introduce at all. But the funny thing about it, as you go through the process, you start to figure out some of the pieces you thought would work ain't gonna work for this kid, and you got to remix that. But it's the love and the fact that wanting to be that father figure, wanting to be there, wanting to grow with my child. It's helped me refine a lot of the stuff that I learned when I was being raised. And as you mentioned, today's time is completely different from when we were kids. So now some of the stuff that we think is going to get through to them really isn't. Like, we have to catch up with how they receive information, but also find a foundation to teach them how to be a respectable person in this world.
Okay. And to kind of piggyback that, as far as taking the way you was raised and being able to implement that into your own child, do you feel you had any outside influences that was positive or negative roles in that light as a parent you are today?
Oh, absolutely. I I know people like to joke around about, you can't believe everything you see on TV, but there's an idea in what they're trying to create on TV. And I know I can't replicate, what I'm saying, the father from Family Matters, but there were moments where, he's there for his kids in a way where my father probably never had to be there for me, or I never saw somebody have to be there for a kid. And learning how to step up in those moments, and what's probably the best thing to say or do. Of course, that comes from time and growing up, but it's just the idea of knowing that if I ever am presented with this situation, here's a potential option. Now, bringing it back to real life, I mean, we can fast forward it almost till about, late teens. I always give much props to Mr. Pinero. Just watching the way that he handled his household, how he handled moving through life. That was definitely something that I wanted to be able to pass on to my kids, because when you see somebody doing such a really good job with their kids, you're like, all right, this has to be something good that I can utilize as well. And it's just a toolkit that you create as your dad, man. You see what everybody else does, you figure out how it works for you. You don't want to be too much like anybody, but no need to reinvent the wheel.
That's a fact. You ain't got the time to anyway. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
On my side, as far as outside influence that just wasn't in the home, honestly, I think Uncle Kareem. He was always just someone that kind of envied, as far as just having it all together all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was just something I kind of strive for in my personal life, because and he was always like, as serious as he was always happy. If that made any sense. I mean, he just had that balance. You know what I mean? He has that balance. But he might have been like the strongest outside influence, like outside of my actual, outside of Ramal, like, people in the house, as far as an influence of who I am today, as far as a parent.
So for me, in my eyes, if me and my wife would have had that conversation in the beginning, I think it would have went smooth, just because we were just so infatuated with each other that, we would have just been like, you like it, I love it, whatever. Like, let's get back to this love thing, like I can see it just going that fine then.
On my side, like, I think I would have not. I don't want to say cave. I ain't no bitch, but it's like. But I think I would have followed her lead, as far as how that conversation would go, especially if it's pre-kid. It's like, I I'm arguing over milk that hasn't even spilled yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we really gonna argue about at this point in time? You know what I mean? So I think I kind of would have just agreed in the early stages because I had no real. I felt like, hey, you might have more experience. You had them both here your whole life. Great. So, all right, I'll take it with a grain of salt. Sounds like a good plan. We'll put it in the old book and pencil, and if we got to open this book one day, we'll read it. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely would have conceded. Just went with the flow.
So, question for you, and now I'm getting you off guard. Question for you and anybody listening right now: do you think people should talk about kids before getting too deep in a relationship?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like, imagine you a year too deep. He'd be like, yo, what you want your first kid to be? And he's like, and they go, kids? I don't want any kids. It's like, we've been together for 2 years. You didn't even, she's like, you never asked me. He said, but you're so good with your nieces and nephews. He's like, yeah, because I could give them back. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to find that out. Now everything is up in the air. You know what I mean? But it's weird. It's a fine line, though, right? You don't want to bring up kids too soon and look crazy. You know what I'm saying? And you're on a way too long when you got time vested. So I do believe you should bring it up to some extent, but read the room as well.
Very true. Very true. I agree. I think that conversation is definitely up there. It should definitely be within maybe that first. I'll say as far as it should probably be within the first 6 months, man. If you feel like this person is like real, like you gave him a draw, like you give him a draw, you need to start talking about kids, man. Like, I'm sorry.
So this your second toothbrush? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I use that one just for the tongue. So yeah, we gotta talk. we got a scraper. Yeah, we gotta talk.
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, man. So now let's have some fun, man. Post kid. This is when it gets real. This is when, you go below the belt. The lines have been skewed. And it's like we keeping score. We trying to win every time we talk about something, right? Let's rewind it back to your firstborn, because I know you were a 3-time champion out here with these kids. What is your view on raising kids at this moment? Let's say once your first kid arrives.
You gotta be dad. You gotta be strict. No should be very common in your language. You know what I'm saying? Don't give up nothing for free. Make sure they work for everything they got. You know what I mean? And that's why I just felt that was the way it had to be, especially from a father's perspective. You gotta be tough. You know what I mean? Duh, you're the dad. But that shit changed like instantly. You know what I'm saying? Because my first child was a girl, so I was just mush, and I've been mush since. It's a concrete mixture, but it's just way too much water, bro. It's like, yeah, like, you got the ability to get tough. That ain't true. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at. Like, there's too much water in my mixture. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's where I was, and that's where I am now. Unfortunately, still much.
Okay. and that was gonna be my follow up, right? Did it change, from kid to kid? But it sounds like, nah, man, I'm still mush out here.
But I like, and even when I have times of being like the tough, I feel like I need to exert that energy of being the dad. I get the shoulder tap, like, calm down, babe. I'm like, I'm never this guy. He's like, just count to 10 and go take a walk. I'm like, but I didn't even think I was there yet. That's level 10. You talking like I'm at level 20. So
I hate the unnecessary referee shit. I swear I do. Because I'll be like, I'll be feeling just like you. I'll be like, yo, I haven't even gotten to mad mode. Like, I'm really just trying to deliver a point right now. And here you come with the blowing the whistle, like,
the favorite one is like, favorite what? Like, yo, I barely touched him. Like,
yo, man, I'm LeBron in Boston. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is crazy.
Micromanaging really have you start like contemplating things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna do it this way, you don't want to just do it. It's like, nah, because now you're not there. You're not participating. It's like, I tried to, remember?
Yeah.
Now we're here because I just got policed.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
You know,
and to exactly to Kenny's point, like listen, ladies, we know y'all are there to keep the peace until y'all peace is disturbed. But we know y'all are there to keep the peace, right? But in our eyes, it looks as if you're clipping our legs from under us every time you interject and say, babe, I think you need to calm down. Now, granted, there are times where we get it. Like we were probably already there and there was nothing good that was gonna happen after that point, right? But
yep.
there are some times where I feel like y'all probably jump in there a little too early. You know, it's like a UFC fight and the fighter's still in it, but it's like, oh no, he's done. We need to end it. Like,
I think you took another hit or two, but
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I had my hand up, baby. I was still conscious. Like,
I was protecting my face.
yeah, because then kids they learn how to play that. They know that all right, at some point, mom's gonna kick in, so I'm just gonna ride this out until the referee comes in and stops the fight. Like, yeah, man, it's
But
crazy.
but for you, my good man, what was your view of raising kids at this very moment, as far as when you're right before Darius was born, or right when he was?
Mhm. Oh, for me, it was definitely going to be cleanliness. You know what I mean? He was definitely going to be one of those kids that, just, monitored his appearance, kept his room clean, understood manners when he walked into people's house, saying hi to people, how to shake hands, eye contact. Um, a lot of the stuff that, my father instilled in me, man, just respect, communication, and as he got older, I think it was really just going to be about him having some sort of understanding about finances. I mean, I don't know why I thought my 1 day old son had to worry about life insurance already, but that was something that I had to start thinking about for him. You know what I mean? So
Early
um
enough.
yeah, so if I already got to start thinking about life insurance for my kid and he's a day old, then once he can talk and he can read, then it's time to start teaching him about some more stuff. So yeah, that's how it started.
I was in today's time.
In today's time, I am he's slowly learning about the cleanliness. It's definitely a work in progress. He's the most polite kid you'll ever meet. If anybody has ever met my son, you already know that. The finances part is rough. I'm trying to use the Roblox interest as a baseline to teach him
Okay.
about finances since he's interested in Roblox. Can you recall a significant moment of conflict when it came to a particular situation with any of your kids?
Mm.
And when I say that, I mean like between you and the missus on a particular situation.
Was the breastfeeding thing, right? Because Jen was like, "Oh no, it's better milk for the baby." I'm like, "That's cool. Like, what I mean, put it in a bottle so we have an exact amount and we know what the kid's getting." We're like, yeah, but it's best sometimes just taking it straight from the tip. I'm like, that's cool, but you don't got to gauge on that thing, so we don't really know how much the baby ate, if the baby's still hungry. Like, we was having this conversation for a while. What I'm saying? Just like, and I was just getting frustrated, and she's just like, no, this is the right thing to do. I'm like, I get it. I've seen the movies. But we have no control on what's happening. Like, you can't just sit here and be a milk machine all day for this. You know what I mean? Like, something has to give. Like, you know what I mean? So, after a lot of talks, like, she finally just gave in. And, you know what I mean? We just switched to the formula, like, ounces. Like, I was like, thank God. You know what I mean? Now we know how much she's drinking. You know what I mean? But I think I fake won that conversation. It took some time.
It took some time. I got you. All right.
Did you recall a significant conflict on your side?
I definitely two. The first one was when he was sleeping. And I know I've mentioned this before, but it was very significant because there was actually one time where it was me against like her family because everybody came in, he was sleeping in my arms. And I don't mind people like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like they, looking at the baby, whatever the case may be. But then the ask was for me to let somebody else hold him so I could start building something. And in that moment, like call me possessive, call me, you know, whatever. I was a first time father, and in my mind, my son is sleeping, he's in my arms. I'm good. I got him. I don't need nobody else to hold him. He's gonna be fine. When he wakes up, then y'all can hold him. When I tell you, brother, like maybe like 2 minutes after that, there was mad low Spanish in the kitchen, and I knew it was about me. I knew it was about me. They couldn't even hide it good. You know what I'm saying? But I'm there, I'm holding him, sitting there, I'm watching TV, man. And I remember like yesterday, Shay coming over trying to whisper to me, and I'm like, after all that low Spanish, now you want to come and talk to me? Like, nah, yo, like, nah, nobody's holding this nigga. Matter of fact, we could leave if we want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was standing on business at that point, man. I was over it. But you know, cooler heads did prevail because her aunt at the time, you know, her aunt through marriage came over to me, and she was just like, "Listen, I know they can be a bit much, but you know that let them hold the baby. It's gonna be fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll make you a drink. You know what I'm saying? We'll put on whatever you want to watch. You build, you know what I'm saying, the playpen or whatever, so that we could put him in there. He can rest with everything, and then we could all have a good time." So after that, you know what I'm saying, took that deep breath of male pride, you know what I mean? And I did, you know, I let him go, but it felt like I was letting my heart go. Like, I was just like, I felt like I lost, but I know I didn't. But in my mind, I lost. I still feel like I lost to this day, but
So now that I look back,
significant moment of understanding. I mean, we've gone through, of course, the significant moment of conflict. What was a time where it was really one of those, like, either a come to Jesus moment for you, or maybe one of the most impactful let's agree to disagrees of the Nelson history?
understanding. I think might have been pretty recent, like when my oldest was in sixth grade. You know, sixth grade girls. I learned last year are very catty. You know what I'm saying? And I growing up, I understood. You know, girls can be catty at times. You know what I'm saying? But I thought that was more high school. Like, you know, what I mean, just older versions of this. And it's like, no, they're experiencing this now. So the way my wife was approaching things, as far as my oldest dealing with these other catty females, and was vastly different. You know what I'm saying? And it was like we both had to have this moment of understanding. Like, yo, we need you to understand that you can't be no punk. But we need you to understand that you can't be out there punking people neither. You know what I'm saying? Like and that weird balanced conversation, time having to just pass, and that band-aid having to get ripped off over and over and over. To understand to stand on your 10 toes but not too firm. Like, trying to teach that is rough. So that moment of it really has to be a compromise on how we do this, because the way we want to do it isn't the way you're supposed to do it. So we got to show you how it needs to be done, because it's the actual right way that it needs to be done. So we kind of have to retool our way of thinking and growing up, making sure because, you know, the kids are snitches. If they come into school, it's like, my mom said punch you in the face on sight. So guess what? You know what I mean? And we like, and we just trying to avoid this same conversation happening in the principal's office after the fact. Like, your daughter, you said that you gave her the permission to, and quote this, on site. Is this what you said? And you're like, yeah, I said that. So now you got, you know what I mean? You don't want to go down that block. But I think that was a real good moment of I think both me and my wife having to come to an understanding on what we want is not the way it needs to be, but us teaching is the way it has to go.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I think more on my side, I had to come to the understanding that as upset as I can be about a situation or at someone, I can't expect her and Darius to follow suit. It's the most pettiest shit in the world. Like, if I'm not feeling my aunt right now, I don't want nobody to go see that. Like, I feel like
nobody talks to her.
Like, when it's her 80th birthday, I don't care. We're not going. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if she need milk. We ain't got it. Meanwhile, there's like 2 gallons in the fridge.
So we don't even need us.
But I have to say when it comes to my son and him being around people and him being, going to events, I can't let how I may feel about things impact his participation. That was a hell of a growth thing for me because it was just like, learning how to manage my emotions, learning how to manage being his dad and showing him that I can separate the two. That was really big as far as understanding that part. And it's still a work in progress. Sometimes I'm like, well, fuck it, y'all go, I ain't going.
Yes or not.
That'll be the compromise. But yeah, and then I would say the only other thing would be understanding that there's going to be times where he's probably not going to come to both of us about something. I think about a year or two ago, he came and he told me something, and she was a little bit hurt because she felt that it was something that he could have came to her about too, and they had to have their own little conversation about that. But I think, once I spoke to him, I said, listen, he's going to have these phases in his life where he may come to you, he may come to me, he may go to Kenny. You know what I'm saying? Like, he may go to whoever he feels like in that moment he wants to reveal whatever it is. And we just got to take it as, we know that he knows that we love him. We know that he knows that he can tell us anything, but the way that resonates with kids sometimes, I mean, they're gonna find their comfort person in certain times, and so now you hit a stalemate on a decision, right? Is whatever it is you're talking about. Let's say you're talking about allowing them to go to a certain party, picking a certain school or a sport. Who usually wins?
Whichever kid says but blank said, that person wins. If I'm in the kitchen and Kenny's going to the pantry, she's going for the two. I'm like, yo, it's like your second one. What are you doing? So, but mom said I can have one. I'm just like, make that your last one. You know what I mean? Like, and that's usually how it goes. It's like whoever got the last word into the kid directly, unless it's like obscene, you know what I'm saying? That usually wins the battle.
Gotcha. And in my house, my wife always wins. And I've noticed this because even if I win, I don't get the best Mrs. Lee if possible. Because now, you know what I'm saying, it's just not going in my favor. And then I realize, shit, I did all that.
Long game now at this point. Like, don't worry about tonight, my brother. Worry about this weekend. Worry about next month. You gotta let this one go. You gotta, yeah.
Because either way, we're gonna end up in the same bed, and she's gonna be laying there, and I'm gonna be like, "Shit, I fucked up."
Yeah. Look on there. You give her a hold back. All right. Yes, I guess that's where we at tonight. Yeah, you know what the hold back.
Hell yeah, man. So I got two really good ones before we close out this topic, man. Do you feel like you could raise your kids by yourself?
Takes a village. Not even. I wasn't even not even contemplating it. No, not in a little bit. I can't do hair. Like I've been struggling.
He said I can't do hair.
I can't do hair. Like, I'm like, my move is grab the hat. Like, you know what I mean? And girls can't go through that. You know what I'm saying? If I had a couple kids, like a couple boys, then we could rough it out. You know what I mean? Mom via phone call. You know what I mean? For a little bit. But it's like, nah, I can't. With the girls, I wouldn't even. Can't even fathom. Nope.
For me personally, bro, honestly, I gotta say, I thought I could. Like, there were times where I was like, man.
It's your soul, man.
I started looking at that 18% hard.
Oh man, it's
but
But
but she means too much to us. She means too much. So I gotta give her that respect. She does the little things that I don't see. And then the things that I do see, but I don't realize how much work goes into it. And I gotta send shout outs to the single mothers and fathers that I do know and the struggles that they face trying to raise kids.
Correct.
All those things put together, I know. I would not be able to do it, and I wouldn't want to do it, bro. I wouldn't want to do it. Son grows up. Now, I mean, he's out here ripping and running, gets a girl pregnant, comes to you, says, Dad, I ain't dealing with this shit, man. What's the first thing he's saying to him?
It's like, you ain't listened to me all these years. Now you gotta listen to me, nigga, because you fucked up. Nigga, you gotta fuck up. Like, I mean, we let you slide. Like, you wasn't listening. All right, we still let you go. But you not listening put you in a situation, and now it's where you are. You gotta stand up and be that person, whether you want to or not. Yes, it's a rude awakening for everybody, but you gotta let them know that I know how you feel, but it's not gonna work the way you think it's gonna work. Unfortunately, as far as you just like, I don't want this shit no more.
It's not like you.
In that whole sentence.
Yeah, like it's not like you tried on a pair of sneakers. Like, I don't like the way these look.
I'm not really into these anymore.
Yeah, no, man. That would be tough for me, man. I mean, the first thing I would tell them is, that's not a lead thing. You know what I'm saying? That is not what we do in the slightest. And you know what I mean? Responsibility to everything that you just said. Your whole life, I've always taught you, enjoy your youth. You know what I'm saying? I'll probably play the clip from what you said on NOLA's. You know what I'm saying? Get your credit score up, keep your debt down, go to the gym, all that good stuff. So, and then, the sad part is I would probably put him in the hurt locker and be like, oh, you don't feel that way? You're going to have to say this in front of me, your Dino, your Uncle Ramel. Like,
you gotta stand all on this.
Yeah. You're going to have to stand on this business in front of all of the male figures in your life. And I want you to look them in the eye and tell them that you're about to do this shit. And I think he would definitely reconsider at that point.
But as far as patience, like, you know where you are right now, as far as your patience level, where you are, what you have to build up to break yourself down to be, right? Pre-kid, like before you had kids, or before D Money was your height, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What was your patience level on a 0 to 10 beforehand?
So first of all, Darius ain't my height yet. I know some of y'all was in there like, word, how short is he? Calm down. All right, calm down. All right. So anyway, listen. Pre-kid, there was no patience, bro. There was no patience. Like, I think most people who know me know this about me. It was a hothead. I was just out there, just trying to figure out life. You know what I mean? Granted, I had met my now wife at the time, and we were just, really figuring things out. But before that, man, I didn't know what patience really was. You know what I mean? And honestly, I lucked out of a lot of situations where shit could have went really left because I didn't have no damn patience. But yeah, that's how I was pre-kid, man. Like it wasn't a good trait, a strong trait of mine.
I think I disguised patience with wittiness before I had kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because before a situation was to really go to the next level, I would say something extremely sarcastic to probably push that person to their next level. And now that I sit at that level, I'm like, oh shit, I tried the patience thing, trying to be funny, but we're here now. So, 10 toes, hot head time, you know what I'm saying? But I only had, that's the thing with patience. I think through life, when I was younger, like pre-kid, I had one go back as far as patience. If that one go back ain't work, hey, I can look at everybody. You see, I tried, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then
And then it's, you know what I mean? It's right on
Steven
Steve
Seagal time,
Seagal.
right?
Steve Seagal time. You know what I mean? Getting washed up time. You know what I mean? But yeah, I can't say I was patient either. Like I was a bit of a hothead, but I did always try to get a witness. Like, yo, y'all seen that try, right? I ain't mean to, now he's sleeping. You see what happened? You know what I mean? Like, but I didn't want this.
For the record.
Facts. I always tried to get a witness before the hothead popped off. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. So now, man, we fast forward, man. First moment with your kid that really tested your patience.
First moment. Should I gonna hold you? With Savannah, the first 2.5 days of the hospital was bliss. It was amazing. Like, wow, she sleeps. That's great. You always heard these horror stories. I'm like, yo, being a parent ain't bad, right, babe? She's like, yeah, this is awesome. Let me tell you something, Shawn. That first day home, like, it got to a point. I looked Jen in her eye. I'm like, she gonna cry all night. Like, this is. We didn't sign up for this, right? Like, you know, it was a terrible reality check as far as like, gotta brought this out. I'm like, all right, outside of feeding, carrying, and do neo bounce. If your top three don't work, it's go time, right? Like, what do we do? Like, I'm gonna go one with the call, like Charlie said, for 20 minutes on purpose. It's like, yeah. I said, baby, it's summertime. Yeah, you never know, man. Gotta make sure the vents is cleared up. You know what I mean? Waiting in the driveway for a long time. But I would say night one with Savannah, man. That kid that we met at the hospital was not the same kid we brought home. We figured that out. We figured that out night one. How about you? When was on your side? When was the first moment when you said, "Wow, I gotta go dig deep"?
Man, listen, same thing, man. Same thing. When he had this piercing cry, man, and it drove me so nuts. Like there was times where me and Shay just kind of was just like defeated, and like we put him in the next room and we was like, let's see what happens, man. Like maybe he'll get tired. You know what I mean? Like we knew parents, we have no patience at that time, and I didn't want to be around him and be frustrated because that energy just makes them cry and frustrated even more. So I'm like, all right, let him stay with his own energy. Maybe that'll self-soothe. That shit didn't work. But yeah, man, it was just a lot of tag your it. All right, let's give him like a minute on his own, see if he gets over it, then go back in, man. Like it was tough, bro. It was tough.
That's rough. I remember my mom telling me when I was young, like she would lock herself in the bathroom to avoid my cry. I'm like, well, you just left me you just left me? She's like, yeah, I ain't give a fuck what you was doing. Like, but you're not fucking these eardrums up. I was like, hey, thanks, Mom.
That's right. Yeah, man, because it was tough, man. And then of course with that, it was his diagnosis with autism. It was tough because it was like, all right, we get past the crying, and then now he gets diagnosed with autism, and now it's like this is a whole another level of patience because this is something he can't control. You know what I mean? Like this is just something that he's born with it, and we got to work through this process. Let me tell you something, fellas. Everybody goes through their own thing, through their own struggle. To have a kid on the spectrum is a totally different type of struggle because now you're literally working with the fact that you don't know where they're going to end up on the spectrum, and you have to make peace with that. You have to make peace with the fact that this is not your world. You're going to have to learn how to be a part of it, how to help them through the process. And the best recommendation I could give to any of you dads out there is find your community and don't try and keep it to yourself, fellas. It is not worth it. You go out there, get the advice, get the help, man. I'm telling you, it'll help. Trust me.
Question for you, as far as patience and when you found out about the diagnosis, did you notice or feel a switch in your patience upon getting that news? Because don't get me wrong, as raising a kid, you always got the whole you got to be tough kind of mindset, so to speak. You'll get through it, especially for the boys. You know what I mean? But once you was informed that you were fully aware of what was happening, did your shoulders just drop? Did you just be like, I no longer need to be mad about anything anymore? Like, what was your transition as far as patience was finding out?
Initially, it was, what is this? You know what I mean? If I initially didn't have the patience to deal with the simplest form of having a new infant, which is crying, how am I going to deal with the fact with that there's a potential that my son may never be able to tell me what he's feeling? You know, that puts you in a whole different mindset. So at first, inside, I'm panicking. Outside, I'm trying to be as strong as possible for my wife because outside and inside, she's panicking, right?
Mhm.
So, but then, you know, when I'm on my own with my own thoughts, it's like you start to go through the process like anything, right? Was it me? Was it something I did wrong? You know, like what do we do now? So, you know, instantly we're on Google, we're reaching out to all the resources that we're able to know at that time because it really wasn't that available the way it is, I believe now, even though it still needs work. So it was a tough space to be in as far as patience because now we're there like trying to tell him to do things or trying to ask him what he wants. And sometimes they're not even making eye contact with you. They're going about other activities, and it's just like, yo, what is this going to be? Like that embracing that type of is no joke, man. So my patience at that time, it was almost like, bruh, man up. You know what I mean? It was like, man up, because this is your son, you love him. This is your world now. Figure it out.
What's up? Kudos, man. Kudos, man. That was like, because I mean, that's a transition. Like, you know what I mean? Because you want to be, as far as the tough love, you know, but then finding out it's like, kind of drop the tough act. You know what I mean? There's no more tough anymore in that regard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But kudos, Broski. Kudos.
Yeah. What about you, brother? Because, you know what I mean? You got 3. So there was several different times where there could have been moments where you noticed early and said, yo, I'm about to flip on all y'all up here. Like, did you notice that?
I think God had a plan with me as far as giving me a girl first, because you know, we was all raised by women, honestly. So my respect for women is on a whole nother level as far as that goes. So like hitting, like even when I would pop them on their hands or on their knee to do something, I felt bad. I'm like, I should have did that. That was stupid. Come here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know why I was mad at you. You know what I mean? So I think that truly helped me a lot as far as my patience level. Because, you know, I was growing up, we didn't really have the parent patient. It felt like it was either get in line or get ran over, kind of growing up. But we got in line quick. You know what I'm saying? So we wasn't trying to, you know, get in no trouble. So I felt like I couldn't really raise my first the way that I was raised in that aspect. So it was extremely simpler as far as the girls were concerned. But Lennox, the third, the boy, this nigga, let me tell you something. Boy, I'll be ready to throw him across the room clean. Like, hey, you might hit the bed, you might miss it, my man. It's like, but remember, you brought this on yourself, no matter where you land. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's the one. He's the I'm gonna flip soon, dude. Like, he's the one for sure. Like any patients that I was balling up and storing and just throwing in the trash, I thought with the first 2 with the girls. Yeah. Man, I'm digging deep in the trash of that patient back. Like, yeah, come on out, man. It's time. It's time for sure. But,
oh man, no, I applaud you for that, man, because you know, I think it's that transparency and that self-awareness that's helpful, right? You know what I mean? And sharing stuff like this amongst each other. You know, I think, fellas, we need to talk about this a little bit more, because there might be like tips and tricks that we can give each other, or maybe it's just really a, you know, fuck them kids moment, you know, where we just vent about what's going on. Yeah, man. And then get right back to being dads, right? Yeah, I remember, man, listen, Darius, one time we was driving, I'm pretty sure I told the story before, but it's still fucking crazy. We were driving home from CT, and, you know, we're driving in the middle of nowhere. So, you know, I keep looking towards the back, and Shay's looking back. It's like, yo, he's playing with something back there. And you just see his hand just going like this, and he's fascinated. Bro, we pull over, man, there is shit everywhere.
he got the shit bag.
There is shit everywhere. I'm like, babe, we're gonna have to throw this baby out. Like, throw
the whole thing away.
We ain't got the equipment to deal with this right now, man.
He said we was running a low until we left, man. We can't do this right now.
Bro, we are not
Uh,
equipped for this, man. We ain't got masks. We ain't got a hose. We ain't got
Man.
nothing, man. Like, it was crazy, man. Like, we
Yeah.
used like a whole wipey pack. And
Not
then
enough.
we had to, thank God we were coming from, spending the night at someone's house. So we were able to put him in those clothes. Not to mention the wildlife that was about to run up on us mid changing of all of this. Like, it was crazy, man. It was nuts.
Yeah. I wish a diaper explosion in the car on no parent ever. There's just nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do on the road.
Yeah, man. Because not only do you have to clean the baby, you got to clean the car
the vicinity, everything. Hey, you trying to keep yourself clean because like I don't want no shit on me. You ever had you ever like your hand looked at the hand and seen actual shit on your hand and you just gotta eat it, not eat it, but like just like I mean, this is life, like you know what I'm saying? Like
it's pasty.
It's in the crevice of every crack you didn't even know existed in the backseat, right? It's everywhere, like full blown everywhere. It's a wild scene.
Yeah, that's just like it's like a dye pack in your baby. It just goes splat everywhere.
It's I wish that on no parent. That's the worst. That's got to be up there with the top 5 worst things ever.
Going through this whole process, man. What was your thought process that you tapped into to exercise patience? Because like you said, right, like you're about to go into your old football days and fling Lennox. What stops you mid fling?
You know what's funny? I picked up on this from the show, Martin. Woosah. Like I would have catch myself actually saying that out loud to myself, counting back from 5 kind of thing when there is a moment where I should be blowing up, because this is a full-blown blow-up moment. But me knowing like this isn't gonna solve anything. Like you get that, you get that off your chest, but if you said something stupid, you gotta apologize for it because you didn't mean it. It was all in the moment, you know what I mean? So I do, when those moments do arrive, I kind of do a quick woosah, count backwards from 5. Breathe. Let's assess now. You know what I mean? Hopefully I got a clear head by then. But if that don't work, God, Jesus, we'll see. But that's what I use to kind of get me back to home base. You got any tips or tricks on your side when shit should be blowing up?
Oh man, I just never wanted my son to be led from a place of fear, and it's that look they have in their face after you reprimand them. Like you just said, man, you feel bad instantly, even if they've probably done the worst thing. You look at their face and it's like, damn, that's my face, but it's scared. You know what I mean? And now, you think about, all right, did I need to go to that level? Did I need to go to that voice? Did I need to, make physical contact with them? So, and then of course, the mothers, they always play referee. So there was a lot of those, referee pulling me to the side, like, yo, listen, man, you got to calm down the physical contact. You got to calm down how you screaming at him. Like he doesn't know. And once you wrap your mind around the fact that at one point you didn't know what you was doing out here, right? We was out here looking at fire like, this shit look cool, bro. I wonder what it does if I put it on this paper. You know what I mean? Like, the world is new to them. Everything's new to them. Their senses are wide open. They're trying to, discover every single thing. And I try and always put myself where he's at in that moment and then kind of talk him through the process, because now at least he doesn't do it because I said don't ever do it again. He hopefully doesn't do it because I've helped him understand what may happen as far as a negative impact either to him or to someone else.
Nice. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Yeah, man. But it's funny because that's a very, very, very thin line as far as respect as far as fear goes. Where you want the respect, but you don't want to earn that respect via fear. But sometimes you need a little fear to get that respect. Like, you know what I mean? So it's a very thin line that I try to tread as often as I could. Like if my loud voice don't work, then I get the extra louder voice. If these those work, now I got to go to the curse word, and I don't want to go here. But this is level 3, man. You got me to level 3 now. It's F this. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, very, very thin line as far as getting respect and trying to be a non-violent person at the same time.
Absolutely, man. So now you're doing all this great work to use these tips, these tricks, these ways of calming yourself down and really exuding patience. Have you seen this now translate into other areas of your life?
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm do try to figure out what came first as far as patients carrying over, whether it be work related, going into the family or family, learning certain tips and tricks from the family and bringing to the corporate side. But sometimes you don't get the answer you want on a corporate setting, and I'm telling you, like it's weird because like yo, if we was outside, I would approach this differently. But you're not. You know what I mean? You got to be cordial. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? Because we're coming right back after lunch. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta just. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but you gotta really walk. You gotta have a trial and tribulation situation to understand how to react and what not to do or how not to do it. And I think they most kind of happen at the same time, as far as me becoming more patient at the house with the kids and me being more patient with not just supervisors, but I have to deal with a lot of outside entities forgetting things that I need done as far as construction and approvals and shit. So that's a tough one though. That's a tough one for sure. How about you?
Yeah, same for me, man. I'm definitely on the professional side. Being able to adjust to my son's diagnosis and being able to, find that calm and understanding, it definitely helped me in situations, to your point, where, people send some crazy emails sometimes and they forget that we have to cross paths at some point. And to exactly what you just said, if I had no regard for my job, the approach would be completely different. But you start to really read it the same way. At least for me, I read it the same way as if I do my son, right? This person clearly just needs some guidance, but they don't know how to express it. And probably just through their upbringing, their natural response is defensive, it's aggressive, it's vulgar, it has a lot of spell check errors. But you once you like weed through all of that noise and you have that understanding, you really just wonder, all right, so how do we solve this? Because I hear your complaints. I can see you're angry. You're using like the cap locks. It's clearly understood, but we still got to fix this because these emails are just going to go back and forth. And it's definitely helped me with managing that. It's helped me with managing different personalities. So yeah, man, I thank my son every day for keeping me young and for getting me ready for corporate, because that you need patience to navigate this world.
So much patience, because growing up with like your friends and everybody, patience. There was no need for it. Like, you know what I mean? It was just like everything was reacting right now for it. But yeah, you definitely learned the hard way as far as work is concerned. Nobody want to get fired, right? So, but that's another thin line though, because when disrespect gets to that level at work, and you already have the conversation with yourself like, fuck this job. Oh man, I hope I never physically got to go through that mental space. But if you ever get in an F this job moment, oh man, you got to get security up here, my boy.
Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy for everybody.
Yeah, trust me, man. Like there's so many reels that capture when you finally see that coworker slap that coworker they've been saying they was gonna slap for a long time. It's like everybody knows what that sound is. So when it goes down, it's literally everybody standing up in their cubicle like, oh shit. Like it finally happened.
He did it. He been mad at him since like last summer. You know what I mean? Oh, it'd be funny. It'd be funny like that.
Absolutely. And it's to those who are ready for the transformation, right? Because we know there are those people who they don't want to change who they are. They're gonna go upside their kid head. They are not gonna be able to talk to them straightforward. So for those people who can make that transition, man, kudos to you. In fact, man. Any final thoughts to close this one out?
For patience, if you don't have it, go find some. Go find some, hold on to it. You know what I'm saying? Put it in the box. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna need it again. You know what I mean? But don't take the second to woosah. I'm telling you, it helps. It helps me personally. But if you got nothing, hey, take that walk around the block. Go sit in the car. Do what you got to do. but don't blow up, man. Try your best not to blow up. You got anything for you? What's your final words on patience?
Oh man, just to add to that, man. I don't know if anybody really has anybody who's been in a very bad situation, but 7 seconds of the wrong actions, man, can cause you a lifetime of pain. You know what I mean? And you definitely want to make sure that at least with your own family, your kin, your blood, you're taking all the necessary steps to do things for the best outcomes for them, even with introducing them to understanding that what they did wasn't the best thing to do. And there's a lot of people behind bars right now that didn't take that time, whether it was with their kid or whether it was with somebody in the street. So patience, man, I'm telling you, this is where the connection to virtue is. I understand it, but in a lot of cases I don't like it, because some people you just want to you know what I mean? Like you feel like maybe this will do a little adjusting, you know what I mean? A little attitude adjustment. But yeah, man, it's honestly, it's not worth it, man. And if you think about it, now you can go about your day. It doesn't disrupt anything, and you feel good about it after the fact, man. It takes some time in certain cases, but after the fact, you'll feel good about it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the show where you are now released back into your regularly scheduled programming. Corporate life, parental life, entrepreneurship, whatever it is that you do, we salute you. I'm Senor Lee.
Cat, man.
See you next pay week when we lock back in to a free state of mind.